Welcome. Thank you again for joining me as I review A2 of the BCBA task list. So in A2, it's explain the philosophical assumption underlying the science of behavior analysis. There are 5 philosophical assumptions that we have to know. It's selectionism, determinism, empiricism, parsimony, and pragmatism. So these are the 5 philosophical assumptions. So you'll have to remember the philosophical assumptions. There are 5 of them. All right, so selectionism. So I'll be going over selectionism first. So here's the philosophical assumption that behavior evolves over time through the process similar to natural selection. It suggests that behaviors are selected by their consequences, whether it's reinforced or punished. And these consequences are shaped behavior across time and generation. In behavior analysis, it also refers to the selection of behaviors that lead to the most effective outcome in the individual's environment, with the selection process ensuring that the behaviors that meet the needs of the individuals are reinforced. So all in all, just a quick snippet, ideas that behavior and traits and practice are shaped and maintained through the process of selection over time. So again, over time, selection over time. Evolutionary science theory, living things that are better suited to their environment survive and pass on their trait. That's the whole Darwinism, natural selection, evolution idea. How behaviors are shaped and maintained by consequences, whether it's reinforced or punished. And then behavior that lead to positive outcomes are more likely to continue. And so a quick snippet again, like it's in green, a quick way we can remember selectionism is behaviors are selected and shaped by their consequences over time, similar to natural selection. So if you have an idea of natural selection and how evolution works, you'll have an idea of what selectionism is. So a question we can see on the BCBA exam is, which of the following best exemplifies the philosophical assumption of selectionism in behavior analysis? So a behavior analysis introduces a new behavior intervention and selects behaviors to reinforce based on their contribution to the individual's long-term goal. B, a behavioral analyst uses the simplest possible explanation for behavior, avoiding unnecessary complexity. C, a behavior analyst assumes that behavior is influenced by prior causes, that behavior patterns are predictable. D, a behavior analyst only focuses on observable behavior, rejecting any unobservable mental states or internal explanation. So obviously the answer here is A, a behavior analyst introduces a new behavior intervention, selects the behavior to reinforce based on the contribution to individual's long-term goal. Again, it's that select process, so it's being reinforced. So we have the selected by their consequences. Here, it's reinforcing based on their long-term goal. So we are selecting this. So select the behavior, reinforce, that contributes to the future, basically. Now we have determinism. Is the philosophical assumption that all events, including human behaviors, are the result of preceding causes. In behavior analysis, this means that behavior is viewed as being influenced by environmental variables, genetic factors, previous learning history that occurs according to lawful and predictable pattern. So all in all, it's events do not just happen. They are related in some sort of systematic way to other factors. The universe is lawful, so nothing happens by random, nothing is just happens just because. It's lawful, so there's a reason behind it. All events are related in a systematic way. All events are caused by something that is caused by something, either environmental or variable. Again, it's not random. So a snippet of how we can remember determinism is all events, including behavior, are caused by prior events and follow a lawful, predictable pattern. One way that helps me remember determinism is they're determined to finish. They're determined based off of prior things, whether it's systematic factors, and determined to do this. So determinism. I hope that helped then. Which of the following best illustrates the philosophical assumption of determinism in behavior analysis? So this is a question we may type of question we may see on the BCBA exam. So we have a behavior analyst assumes that a child behavior is influenced by environmental factors and is predictable based on their prior experiences. B, a behavior analyst uses the simplest explanation for a behavior and chooses not to include unnecessary variables. C, a behavior analysis focuses only on observable behaviors and avoids theories that cannot be directly observed. Or D, a behavior analyst assumes that behavior occurs randomly without any identifiable cause. We can right off the bat eliminate D. We know that it doesn't just occur randomly. There's a definite reason why. So we can definitely eliminate D. That's not the answer. We can also eliminate C. Behavior analysis focuses only on observable behaviors and avoids theories and cannot be directly observed. We can also, because that's not determinism, we're thinking about what are the previous learning histories, what are the predicted patterns, and then now we can think about, okay, so what is it? Is it A or B? We know it's not B, simplest explanation, because here determinism is not determining what's the reason why, what's the simplest explanation that this behavior is occurring. That's another one, and that's another philosophical assumption. But we're looking at A, that's the answer. Why is the behavior occurring? It's because of the environmental factors. That's the connection that we want to look at. Was the behavior and how is it influenced by the environmental factors? Therefore, it will always occur. So it's following that lawful, it's following that pattern. So this is how we want to remember this. All right. Empiricism. So it's a false philosophical assumption that knowledge comes from objective observation and measurements of phenomena. In behavior analysis, it emphasizes the need for data-driven decision-making, encourages behavior analysts to base their conclusion and intervention on observable, measurable behavior rather than theoretical concepts or unobservable internal states. So again, scientific knowledge is built on this objective. It's independent of any outside factor. It is not a subjective belief. It's data. It's like, hey, this is the reason. Look at the data. This is the reason why this is happening. I have the numbers to prove it. It depends on thorough description, a systematic repeated measurement, quantification of interest, and rules of behavior analysis. This is what we need. This is what we depend on. So a quick snippet to remember, this is knowledge is derived from observable and measurable data, not from theoretical or unobservable phenomena. So we rely on the data. That's why it's so crucial that our RBTs and also we get reliable data. It's not subjective. It's like, hey, here are the numbers. Here's what's happening based off of the measurable data. So which of the following best exemplifies a philosophical assumption of empiricism in behavioral analysis? So here's a question. We may see, it may look like this on the BCBA exam. So A behavior analyst introduces a new intervention based on theoretical models of behavior and assumes it will improve the child's behavior. B, a behavior analyst collects data on the child's behavior by recording the frequency of their tantrum during a session, ensuring the observation are objective and measurable. C, a behavior analyst decides to reinforce a behavior based solely on the child's emotional state without considering observable action. D, a behavior analyst focuses on mental processes rather than directly measuring observable behavior. Right off the bat, I can eliminate C and D. We always want to eliminate definitely the options that do not make any sense based off of what we know about the information, what we know about it. So empiricism, it relies on the facts, on the data. So we know that C and D can be eliminated. We don't even have to worry about that. So we're not looking at mental process. We can't measure mental process. So eliminate D. C is eliminated. We can't measure emotional state. We can do that. So we can eliminate that as well. Now we look at A and B. So A and B, A is a behavior analyst introduces a new intervention based on theoretical model of behavior and assumes it will prove the child's behavior. Or B, a behavior analyst collects data on child's behavior by recording the frequency of the tantrums during a session, ensuring the observation are objective and measurable. Objective, measurable, recording tantrums during session. So when we look at here, we know that when we look at empiricism, we're looking at the objective observation, the measurement. So here, the only one that talks about measurement, the only one that talks about objective, there's no room for like this. The only one that talks about that is B. So a behavior analyst collects data on a child's behavior by recording the frequency of their tantrum during session. So we have what are we doing? We're recording the frequency when we're recording during session. And it's ensuring that observations are objective and measurable. Objective based off of whatever the definition is, whatever they came up with, and is measurable. We're recording that frequency of it. So the answer is B. Now, parsimony. So parsimony is the philosophical assumption that when explaining phenomena, the simplest explanation with the fewest assumptions is preferred. In behavior analysis, this means selecting the most straightforward, efficient explanation for behavior, avoiding unnecessary complexity and extreme variables. So here we have the attitude science requires that all simple, logical explanation can be ruled out experimentally or conceptually before any complex or abstract explanation are just ruled out. Choose most simple explanation. So here, what's in green is like the way to remember this concept, this philosophical assumption is we want to look at the simplest explanation. The simplest explanation to explain why that behavior is occurring. We always want to look at the simplest explanation. So here, a question we may look at on the BCBA exam is, which of the following best exemplifies the philosophical assumption of parsimony in behavior analysis? A behavior analyst uses a complicated and multi-step intervention plan to address a child's behavior without considering simpler alternatives. B, a behavior analyst introduces a new theory about behavior based on unobservable mental processes. C, a behavior analyst explains behavior in terms of genetic factor rather than environmental influences. D, a behavior analyst chooses a simple intervention that focuses on one variable at a time rather than implementing a complex intervention with multiple components. All right, now here, we can, by the process of elimination, we can eliminate A, obviously, because it says it in the option without considering simple alternative. Parsimony is that simplest explanation, as we see in the bottom, based off of that simple explanation. Here in A, it says they don't consider it, so bam, eliminate A. A behavior introduces a new theory about behavior based on observable mental process. We know that that's not the answer. This is we can't measure them. That's not objective. It's not most simplest mental process is a complicated abstract thing. We don't look at that abstract thing in parsimony. So we can eliminate B. Now we have a behavior analyst explains behavior in terms of genetic factors rather than environmental factors. Or D, a behavior analyst chooses a simple intervention that focuses on one variable at a time. So obviously the answer here is D. It focuses on one variable. It says simple, right on the answer choice, it says simple. So we already know that parsimony, it has that explanation of the most simple explanation. So it has the word simple in it. So obviously like, yeah, we're gonna look at that. It focuses on one variable all the time. So when you focus on one variable at a time, we can determine that that's the causing thing for the behavior. So and then it says it doesn't implement complex intervention. Again, parsimony focuses on the most simplest explanation when explaining behavior. Therefore, we're going to eliminate any complexity. We're going to eliminate any abstract thinking. And we're going to choose the most simplest explanation. So here, our answer choice, our answer is D. Pragmatism. All right. So pragmatism is the philosophical assumption that the truth of ideas is determined by their practical consequences. In behavior analysis, this means that interventions should be evaluated based on their effectiveness and real-world applicability. A behavior analyst selects interventions that work in practice and lead to meaningful improvement in behavior. So we want to focus on practical results and usefulness instead of abstract theme. Focuses on what works and how ideas can be applied to make a difference. So when we're looking at how to remember this, in green, we're looking at the effectiveness and practical outcome of intervention, determine their value. So is it easy to implement? Is it even effective to implement? Therefore, now based off of those two things, we're going to determine if it's their value of it. Is it a good intervention? It's not. Is it easy to implement? Is it complex? Does it require a lot of different moving parts here? So we're going to focus on the real world situation. So can we even implement this in the real world? Is this something that we can do? So question we may see similar to on the BCBA exam for pragmatism is, which of the following best exemplifies the philosophical assumption of pragmatism in behavior analysis? Is it A behavior analyst prefers to use complex explanation and interventions even if they are difficult to implement in a classroom setting? A behavior analyst explains a child's behavior based on theoretical construct that cannot directly be observed or tested. C, a behavior analyst selects an intervention based on its proven success in real-world setting and its ability to produce meaningful practical outcomes for the client. Or D, a behavior analyst chooses to ignore the client's environmental context when designing intervention focuses on only an abstract principle. So right off the bat, we can eliminate a couple of these based off of the wording of the answer choices. We can eliminate a behavior prefers to use complex explanation because we want to make sure that it's practical in the real world setting. So we can eliminate A. We can also eliminate D, because in D it says it focuses on the abstract principle. It doesn't focus on it ignores any environmental context. So we can eliminate that because we focus on practical results instead of those abstract themes. So eliminate D and eliminate A. So now we have between B and C. So now B, the keywords to B, it says it cannot be directly observed or tested. And then the keywords to C that we want to look at, it says proven success in the real world. So if we're deciding between B and C, we can definitely eliminate B. We can eliminate B because it says it cannot be directly observed or tested. So here we want pragmatism focuses on those practical results. It focuses on, can you implement this in the real world? Is this intervention? Can we do this? Can we not? Can we focus on just that? So here the answer is C. Now, I created this little table that will help us. So we have the Cooper's definition and any simple explanation. So for example, selectionism, the simple explanation for this is behaviors are shaped over time by their consequences. Determinism, simple explanation is events happen because of prior causes. Nothing is random. Empiricism, observation and data collection is essential for understanding behavior. Parsimony starts with the simplest explanation before considering any complex ones. Pragmatism focuses on what works and leads to meaningful change. So there's those simple explanation that will help us remember the difference between the 5 philosophical assumptions. And then we also have here some examples. Hopefully this helps you in your studying. It's helping me. And then I have some multiple choice questions as well. I'll move my little camera. All right, so here are some 10 multiple choice questions that you can pause the video to practice on your own, and then I'll reveal the answers. So feel free to pause it. All right, now I'll be revealing the answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And these are the answers to those multiple choice questions. Let me know how you do. Let me know if this is helpful. And comment if you want to see more. Thank you.